A quick question that has been asked frequently among my students: why prayer seems to take longer? Not only that, why they seems to take longer, but most important, some of them have experienced a quick breakthrough through my program. And then things seems to be grinding slowly, and most of them are confused. So I'm going to answer these two questions in this brief but simple episode that we're doing today. And this is a conversation that came about through my program, Marriage Reset Blueprint. It's the name of the course or the program, which is designed to just bring a quick breakthrough through a marital issues that individuals are experiencing through a 5 module class. And one of the things that a lot of those who have partaken this program have seen a quick result. Example, I'm going to use a very simple example. JD. JD has been in a cold turkey situation for almost 9 months, where the relationship at home has not been as warm nor intriguing, as well as there was no intimacy. They passed ways, they slept in the same bed, but often he will find himself sleeping in the living room. Just he sits around and wait for the kids so that they won't see that he is not in a good terms with his wife. In fact, they had in the past had traditional of having a spring break together. Instead, this year, the spring break, his wife, or a cold turkey wife as he called it, kind of took the kids for spring break, and he pretending that he was busy even though he was not really busy. So, and their anniversary came around the corner, and he was wondering how is he going to handle it. So he went ahead and booked his own vacation. It was a time together, his own time away for his anniversary, and she had planned to do the same for a few of her girls. So together they will go and celebrate their anniversary in separate ways. So JD reached out, and at that time JD financial situation was very tight, so he was willing to invest on a marriage reset program, which is a 5 module class or lessons that are that guides. They're kind of a self-paced program that guides an individual through this particular process. When JD took the program, things were very kind of strange in the house. As I mentioned, he was living in a cold turkey environment for over 9 months at the time. But being that he was desperate for some form of a relief, he heartedly invested or vested himself in the program. He spent time reading the book. He spent time doing the exercise. He spent time repracticing each and everything that he learned. Within 2 days, in fact, he saw a light on the end of the tunnel. He was chilling on the backyard, listening to the audiobook that he gets as a compliment. And the audiobook is based on this book here, The Exodus Within. And he was listening. He's been listening it over and over, grasp, understanding each and every component so that he can apply as tools and resources to further enhance his relationship. And as he was listening to it about this concept of Genesis that we are told, the concept of Exodus that is told in the book of Exodus from the Bible, he was fascinating and intrigued by it. So he was just loving to grasp each and every nuances within the story. And something happened as he was chilling there. Usually that is his quiet moment. Is an escape moment to allow his wife to roam around the house freely without them bumping into each other, because things were no longer common. But as he was doing that, he heard or felt a tap on his shoulder. And of course, his assumption was might be one of the children is calling for his attention. And as he turned, it was his wife. And he looked at her surprisingly, puzzled. And first thing was, what is wrong? Is everything all right with the kids? And that's what he asked. And she said, oh, no, everything is right. Don't worry. He said, can I please, do you mind if I join you? You seems to be enjoying yourself. You're at peace. I want that same peace you are having. Can I sit by your side? And he moved a little bit and she sat by his side. And as she sat there, it was kind of an awkward silence because they didn't know how to react or respond to that guest who's sitting by his side. He literally was a guest, a strange person to him at that moment. And as he was pondering this situation, he wanted to say something, but he didn't want to create an argument that it's been constant pattern in their marriage. And it was this particular 2 days that he found peace. And he didn't want to disturb his peace, so he was silent. And maybe 5 minutes went by. According to his words, she leaned on his shoulder and kind of rest her head on his shoulder. And he wanted to move as if, because he felt like he was a stranger who was leaning on him without giving that stranger permission. But then he quickly remembered that she's his wife, despite the fact they've been strangers in their house. But yet it was still the same woman he fell in love. They loved. They enjoy each other's company. It's just that life happened, as he told me. So he allowed her to rest there, and she just rested. And then she said, "No, it feels so beautiful to be out here with you today." And he wondered, is that the same woman who have argued, cursed me, called me all kind of names? And apparently it was the same woman. He had to look at her briefly and say, maybe someone else moved into the house without me knowing. But yes, it was the same woman that he fell in love before. Things happened and they became estranged to an extent within the same environment or under the same roof. And he said, he responded and said, yeah, I just kind of fell in love with this experience that I've had for the last 2 days. And she nodded and said, yes, I could see it. And it kind of intrigued me to come and join you in this moment, because you were more at peace and I was not. I wanted to have the same peace you have. And they started talking about everything else, but nothing about the past. And he said, surprisingly, certain things that normally would have awakened certain atmosphere within their conversation, it was normal. And he was surprised. Eventually it got a little bit darker, and there were some mosquitoes probably flying around. So they decided to go back inside the house. And when he got inside the house, he went and sat in front of the TV, because he was trying to figure out, should he go to the bedroom, because he hasn't been going to the bedroom frequently. So, and he kind of revert to his routine. He will sit in front of the TV, pretending he's watching the TV until the kids goes to sleep. Then he goes and take a shower and return back to the living room and take a nap, sleep, and make sure that he wakes up early before the children notice that he's sleeping in the living room. And if they caught him, his excuse is, oh shoot, I was watching TV and I fell asleep. Simple. So he sat on the living room there, and she came and joined him, comfortably cuddling with him. And he was like, what happened today? And she mentioned she would love to have a coffee. And he's like, definitely, I'll go and get it. It was late, but she wanted a coffee, so he went and made some coffee for her and him. And they went and sat there watching TV for about 2 hours together, drinking coffee and talking. And he said they've never had conversation of such nature before. It was so deep, so easy to talk. He was surprised at how natural the conversation was coming along. And that night, as it could have been in any other night, that night after 2 hours, she said, we gotta go to sleep. She didn't say, I'm going to sleep. She said, we gotta go to sleep. It's getting late. He took the invitation. He went in the bedroom, took a shower, and she joined him in the shower. And things happened in the shower. And things not only happened in the shower, they were trickled all the way back to the bedroom and in the bedroom. And things were amazing. He said he slept like a baby. He never felt so good as he felt that night. And so she was. In the week that followed, things got better. Things were just flowing easily. And the third week, some tension started emerging again. And he started feeling unease himself. And he started questioning certain things along the way. And some nights, like for the previous week, every night they were talking, they would laugh. They took a walk together several nights. And every time when she walked into her, because he comes home earlier than her, she will walk in and just kind of give him a hug, give him a kiss. And the third week, suddenly things started slowing. She walked in. She was not very happy the first day. And she just went in the bedroom, took a shower, got ready, came and just asked, is the dinner ready? He likes to cook, so she knows that. And he served her dinner, and she didn't say anything, no thank you, nothing. She finished, she left the dishes actually in a sink. Normally she would rinse and put in the dishwasher, and she went back in the room, and there was no conversation. She went to sleep. And he thought maybe she might have just had a bad day. The morning came, and he was trying to kind of, excited. It was also dry. The second day, the third day. And so he sent me a message. He said, Alpha, I know, because it's a 5 day. So he said, can I have a call with you if you don't mind? And I didn't hesitate. So I said, I'll give you a call. Take it, kind of book the call, and we'll have a conversation. So he booked a call, and we had a conversation. And he started telling me, this is what I'm going through. And in essence, he's informing me that he is being challenged in his marriage. And I said, that's very simple. So we went back to the book, The Exodus Within, which is the story of Exodus. And in this story, something I brought to his attention, something I want to talk about in this conversation. Because not only him had raised that issue, a few other students have raised that issue, which brought to my attention that I have experienced the same issue in certain areas of my life when I was going through the same process. So therefore, I'm like, it's important to be able to help people address why, when sometimes, even for those who are watching who have not taken the class or the course itself yet, they can kind of connect with this, where you wanted to do something and things seems to be going well. I'm like, you're excited, man. Things are moving along, and all of a sudden you feel a bump, and things start grindingly slowing down, slowly but surely. And breakthrough that you were having just a week before seems to be staling, and you wonder what happened. You were all excited, and suddenly things have halt. Simple. If you don't have this book, The Exodus Within, to understand what I'm about to share with you, you must get the copy. And not only just have a copy, read the copy so you can get a better understanding of what this whole thing is about. I'm going to leave a link to where you can get the book, and hopefully if you're interested, you can even get a bundle where you get the printed book ordered, as well as the audiobook. So why that happens, why you have a breakthrough, seems things to be going forward, and suddenly you're experiencing a slowdown of things as they used to be, where challenges have, as JD was experiencing him. The answer, as I said, it lies in this story. Actually, chapter 7 of the book of Exodus give us that roadmap. And I'm going to pull it up quick here so that I can kind of talk about let me see. Frequently among my students. So I'm going to pull it up here. I apologize for that interruption that happened there. So in the book of Exodus chapter 7 there, I'm just going to read briefly. Not many people have read it, and you don't need to waste your time to read it because the book providing a very good narrative. But for this purpose, I want to be able to bring to your attention what it says. We're told, the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is unyielding. He refuses to let the people go. So there is this concept of a Pharaoh's heart is unyielding. And in this book, we're defining what that Pharaoh heart means, or Pharaoh symbolizes, as is told in the scriptures and as it is relating to your personal life. Your belief system, the assumptions you make in life that are contradicting your desire, are the very Pharaoh, because they rule over your life. You say, my husband is stubborn. My wife is unyielding. That's an assumption you've made based on experience you've had, based on what you have observed. But is that the truth, or is that a life sentence? And the answer is no. So that belief system become the Pharaoh that governs your actions. An example, I met a guy and we were talking, and he tells me, like, he explained the situation he's experiencing, and I said, This is the solution you can have. And he said, no. He said his belief system is he's a child of God and God must take care of him as he takes care of his kids. I said, that's very true. That's the narrative we're given. That's the symbols that we are presented to so we can relate to what is being said. But I ask him, each and every one of you, you're not the only one. Each and every human being walking under the earth or the sky, under the sky, is a child of God. I don't care what they've done because we are all of the same nature. We might differ in our ethnicity that we've called it, and our sex and everything else, our place of origin, and we can define and divide and subdivide and subconquer whatever we do. But at the end of the day, we are of the same nature. So therefore, we are children of God. All of us. There is no exception. If somebody tells you different, you believe them, it's your problem, it's your blessing. But I'm telling you, we are all one and the same. There is no better child. There is no greater child. The only exception exists is how we operate that power, God-given power within ourselves. That is what sets us apart. But not the power itself. The power is within each and every one of us. The ability and the capacities in you. Your marriage, my marriage, the journey we take is not because I am better or I deserve better or I've been appointed to. It's simply because I apply that power different in my marriage. And I do so with intention, not by accident. Intentionally, I engage, interact, pursue. And that's what this book is all about, laying it out step by step on how you do so. But in the scriptures, we're told Pharaoh's heart was unyielding. Your belief system is unyielding. It doesn't give up unless it is overridden. It has to be replaced. Apostle Paul said, you either conform to the reality that you're experiencing or you transform to the future you seek to experience. And that transformation happened not because you've called the name of Jesus, not because you have shouted in the language that I don't know and many don't know. It's not because you've gone to church so many times. It says simply because there is a renewal of the mind. And what the Romans 12:2 informs us, as it is known to be the letter to the Romans by Apostle Paul, science have come to conform. He's giving us that same statement. He said, this is the way. So why will you have a break and therefore things return back to slow down? Pharaoh's heart is unyielding. You have been going through a process, a disappointment, experience that did not give you pleasure or was lack of that which you wanted in this marriage. Coldness, you've been ignored, you've not getting that which you want, no intimacy, no interaction. None of these things have been happening in your marriage. And now you're at a place wondering, how do you do differently? And you get this information and you start learning and you're like, man, this is exciting. You are applying each and every step and you are seeing the breakthrough because there is a renewal of the mind that is happening. But as you're renewing your mind, the old mindset, as Apostle Paul called the old man, remains. It doesn't die. That's Pharaoh, that belief system. It doesn't. We're told Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh over and over and over and over, 10 times in fact. 10 is a divine number, meaning simply you have to return back if things seems to slow down. My 3I framework, if you've taken that program, I talk about the 3I framework and I walk you through how to apply it. It have two pieces that are critical. It has idealization step, it has introduction step, but the last step, the iterate, is the most important piece. Meaning that even when you are feeling like things suddenly slow down, you don't give in to the appearance. Rather, you press forward. You keep repeating, you keep seeing, you keep imagining, you keep speaking as if you are in a marriage that you desire to be, as if you are experiencing that marriage. Because what you are doing there, you are telling your mind that this concept of living in a more functional relationship is more important to me than what I used to be in the past. And the more you press on, Jesus gave us a parable of a woman who appeared over and over before a judge. And until that judge was overwhelmed by her cry, her appearance, her request, her pressing. And he said, I don't believe in these things. I don't subscribe to this, but this woman is wearing me off. And therefore, I am going to give her the justice she demands. That's what this is all about. It's just saying that you got to repeat this process over and over. Don't give in just because things seems to be tougher. You press on, because that which you want is more important than the pushback you are getting, because you are charging a new path. The old path is still there. Imagine, I don't know, any of you have worked, you get excited, you get this book and you're like, man, this book is amazing. I like the break free from mental bondage and transform your life from inside out. Excellent. Let me get it. And you start reading the first chapter, the second chapter, and you remember your show. And you're like, oh man, I gotta watch. I haven't seen that episode. It's coming out. And you remember there's dinner need to be prepared. You're like, man, I gotta take care of the kids. And you remember there's a program you gotta take. So suddenly all the things that you were used to do in that time, that you press them out of your way to pay attention to that book, to that audio, to that video, to whatever that moment, all of the time, all those things they were not any important. The thing you wanted became more important. So you started doing it. But all of a sudden it becomes natural. It becomes normal. As it becomes normal, those things now becomes relevant. In fact, at that moment, I tell people, when you feel like things are slowing down, it is at that moment you have to remember that what you are doing is important. Actually, things are changing in your favor, because suddenly you can see the difference between what you want and that which is happening. Because what is happening is slowing you down from that which you want. When you're experiencing that tension, when you're experiencing that slowdown, it is an evidence that you're actually on the right path. And therefore, you should continue to press forward, not to retreat, not to complain, but you stand up and dancing, dance. I don't remember the song, but I remember the lyrics, dance. I don't know what it's going about, but you might know the song. Maybe you can check it out. But guess what? What I'm saying is, just dance in that moment. Just encouraging yourself. Don't wait for me to come and give you the word of encouragement. Don't go and ask your pastor, your sheikh, your imam, anybody else. You don't need anybody else's motivation. Now you know that you can motivate yourself. Dance. You gotta dance your way out of that stuckness. Dance your way out of that slowdown. You gotta dance your way out of that grinding that you're experiencing, and have a smile along with it. Make sure, get the book or get the course, because you're going to learn why you need the smile as you're dancing. And you're not just dancing, you're going to remember that, guess what? My marriage is good. My spouse is doing amazing. And you just go in it and do those things. It's important, because in the book we're told, God told Moses, and this is what it says actually. The Lord God of Hebrew has sent me to say, no, that's in chapter, verse 14. I want verse 1. I apologize. Let me look at verse 1 here. Just a second. Bear with me. We're going to go to 7:1. This is what actually it says. See, so this is what, then the Lord said to Moses, see, I have made you like God to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. Simple. And that's why you always have to have, guess what? Pharaoh and Moses along with you. The symbol of Moses have to carry with you as you're dancing. And you gotta smile, because the symbol of Aaron have to be along with you. Those two components have to be there. You gotta get the book so you can learn what Pharaoh, what Aaron and Moses means as you going through this journey of rebuilding your marriage. So, in nutshell, that is the reason why. And guess what? Somewhere along the screen here, you will have a link to the video that I kind of break down this concept of Moses and Aaron as it pertains to this very scripture here. Why you need Moses, why you need Aaron, what is the symbol of them in your life today. Especially, in that video, I'm talking more about this Exodus 7:1 through 5, so that you can kind of grasp it and being able to utilize that as a tool in weaving through your life in order to get the results you want. So why, again, I'm going to conclude with the answer. Why? Why sometimes you get a breakthrough and all of a sudden you run into a halt. Things seems to slow down, going back to what it used to be. It's not that because you're being punished. It's not because the devil is trying to invent to interfere with your life. It have nothing to do with the devil. The devil simply means opposite force. So the ideas or the belief system that you hold before is opposite to the new belief system you want. You have lived in a marriage that has no sex, no intimacy, or there is a limited thereof. There is no connection. There is no laughter. There is no joy. There's no feel a sense of belonging. A relationship has been dried. You found yourself in a desert somewhere in Arizona, in a marriage desert in Arizona. Imagine that. It is dry, it is hot, and there's no air conditioning. There's no water. So it's not very comfortable, not very livable. That's where you found yourself today. And you have learned how to cultivate water out of a desert, how to be able to move with joy, to use the sun to create cooling air. You've learned all of that. And suddenly you start working on those things and you're excited. And your marriage is coming together. You are feeling it. You're experiencing, you're seeing things are moving as it was for JD. And all of a sudden, every progress seems to be kind of slowing down. It's not that it's slowing down. In fact, you have come to a point, what I call a crossing over. In this book, we're calling a crossing over moment, or a moment of crossing the Red Sea. It is that moment where you're now in a tug of war. You have to leave behind the Egypt, where the scripture says, the Egypt you have seen, you will see no more. The enemy you have seen, you will see no more. The drought you have experienced, you have seen no more. But you have to press forward, as it was for children of Israel. Even though it might feel intimidating, it might feel overwhelming, you have to press forward. Because it's in the pressing forward where the breakthrough or the crossing over is happening. Not on the retreating back, because if you retreat back, you surrender to Pharaoh, to the old belief that have gotten you where you are. And you're going to start saying, like JD felt like these things are not working, man. Well, he has seen breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. And suddenly it feels like maybe it was just luck, or maybe it was just temporary, or maybe God was just testing him. I mean, he was just having all these kind of thoughts. But I told him, no, you got to press forward. That's what it is. That moment is the Red Sea crossing moment, as it's told in this scripture, the book of Exodus, and it's well explained in here. It is that moment where there is a crossing over. And crossing over doesn't happen because there's a miracle. It happens because you are pressing forward. You're not looking backward. The children of Israel, when they looked back, they saw those caravan coming. They were terrified. But Moses said, we are not looking back. We are pressing forward. And they did. And they saw a crossing over. So you are in your moment of crossing over. If you're experiencing that, that's a crucial moment. You must press forward to get what you're looking for. Again, there is a video, I think the link will be here, where they explain a little bit more about Moses and this concept of Moses and Aaron. But also, there is a link for the program itself and the physical book where you can order and you can get a bundle, both the hard copy and audio copy. Until then, I look forward to see and hear from you that things have been transformed.